All right. Hello and welcome back. This is Colin Keeley here.
And I'm Brent Sanders.
We are two guys buying and building wonderful internet companies.
Yes. And we acquired a new company.
Ding,
Really
ding,
excited
ding,
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need sound effects for this. Ding, ding, ding. We are progressing. I'm really proud to announce that we acquired Scout for Pets, which is what we consider the premier dog walker software or dog walking software. So this is software within our, I don't want to call it a thesis, but our model, which is going after B2B SaaS. So we're selling to dog walkers that usually have more than one dog walker as part of their organization, and allows them to do scheduling, billing, appointments, everything related to their job, and do it in a really efficient way. So we closed a week and a half ago or something like that.
Yeah, about a week ago. So it's classic vertical market software. So it's everything you need to run like a small dog walking business, small to medium size dog walking business, I'd say. Most of them have a number of walkers. And just to clarify, the name is Scout. So our customer service guy keeps saying it's Scout for Pets. The name's Scout.
The name's Scout. Scout. Yeah. Sorry, we haven't had the brand meeting yet.
Yeah.
So on this episode, I think we just should we start from the beginning, or should we start at the end and work backwards? Probably the beginning.
Yeah, I wrote the timeline out. So let me bring it up. We just talked through it. So this is like the simplified timeline. So everyone asked where you found it. So this one was found on MicroAcquire. So day one, I sent a message, no response. Day three, no response, followed up with an email. Day four, no response, followed up again. So this is 3 contacts, just for perspective. And then day 5, got the first response.
Wow. I had no idea there was, because I remember seeing it in like bumping it and being like, hey, didn't we talk about this? And I don't usually read the MicroAcquire emails. I get them every day, which, by the way, they do a really good job of like keeping that in front of your face. And I remember I had no idea that you reached out multiple times. Okay. So persistence pays. Yeah.
So this is something I think it's becoming more common on MicroAcquire, is like, and I think they're trying to do this, is like vet sellers more, because they just get like a monster amount, like a tsunami of inbound, and people have no idea whether it's legit or not. And James said basically he had some bad experiences, and he's just like, I'm going to keep the listing up, but I'm just not interested in selling. So he said eventually is like, the third one is like, who's this guy? Why does he keep reaching out? And he looked at our website, and I looked at my website, and he's like, oh, I kind of like these guys. I kind of like what they're up to. So yeah, it's not super straightforward. It's not buying something on Amazon.
Yeah.
Hard to even get a response sometimes. So after that, we had the first meeting with just me kind of getting the basics out of the way. Second meeting with you as well, tech and product questions. This is like day 14. Not sure what happened in there, but it was a bit of a delay. And then day 14, we also sent the first offer, which was quickly declined. Day 15, offer declined. And this is a quote, especially regarding the deferred funds. So
yeah,
that kind of set the tone, actually, looking back, that it's going to become an issue later on.
Yeah. And so, like, a little bit about the seller, he is technical. Like, he had a partner. So this is really cool. Now that I am hands-on the product, now we kind of have full access to everything. Seeing from a product management perspective, seeing somebody partner with a subject matter expert. So his partner, Rich, I believe, ran a dog walking business, and they were out of Denver, I think both of them at that time. And just we're working on, okay, well, what do you need? Like, what's the requirements, and working on this thing together. And then they opened it up to other people. Other people had this similar working style and pattern, that when you use one of these systems, I don't want to call it like an expert system, but it's one of those where it's like very prescriptive. You're going to use it the Scout way, and there's no other way to kind of adapt it or adopt the pattern. So it's great if you aren't really sure how to get started and you want to like kind of hop in. So it was cool to see the kind of integration that he and his partner had. But yeah, going back to the deal from the get-go, we usually structure some form of seller side financing on all of our deals, and yeah, he wasn't having it. So this was 2 weeks into kind of talking to him, and then feel like it kind of, how long did we wait before making another?
No, so just back to that, like some of our favorite founding teams, I'd say, is like the industry expert and then like the technical person. And that's like the best recipe to launch these vertical market software. And this is the classic one. One guy actually ran a dog walking business, or pet sitting is what they call it generally, and then a developer. So that was like just the classic situation. But so day 15 we're at, offer declined. Day 21, we had another call to talk through offers, or like just to talk basics. And at that point, we learned of 2 previous offers. one which was higher than ours, initial one. And that was from two guys like us, one technical, one marketing. He really liked it, but it was the first offer he received, so he turned it down. And then another one, which was from a financial buyer that was much higher, and he turned it down because he didn't like that it was a financial buyer, basically. And so those were like, that gave us kind of a range. And we ended up, the final accepted offer ended up within that range, closer to the higher one. But throughout this whole time, I was on ProfitWell and I would get like the daily notifications like, oh, went up this $200 yesterday in MRR, $300 in MRR. So definitely felt the push to close something here. So that was day 21, day 31. I may have missed some stuff in here, but call to talk through the updated app and state of the product. So throughout this whole time, there's a new version of the app that's in preparation and getting further and further along. So day 32, we made another offer. Second offer was made.
One thing to hop in there and like I remember this now. Yeah. The big thing there was like giving us the license to offer more. Cause I think our calculus here was like, okay, we're going to need to put investment into this to get this new version of the app done. And so can we build a model and a budget and everything that nets out where we can get all these things done that we still need to? Cause what I think he had offered is like, hey, I'll finish the app. I think there was some idea of like, hey, if you meet this price, maybe we can work something out where I'll finish the app, which I would never want to do. Like I would never do a deal where there's a deliverable hanging after I can't even imagine after doing all the legal work we did to then have like some arbitrary kind of vague acceptance criteria around an app getting delivered in a certain amount of time. And mind you, the seller, he's in a position where he has a full-time job in addition to this. So like, I didn't want to tie anything to it, but we were trying to gauge like, okay, could we offer a little bit more because this app's further done? So I think at that point he may have granted some access to both like run the app, like test flight, but then he might have also added some access to the code.
Yeah, backing up, we maybe should have covered this earlier, but so James, the main founder, I guess you'd call him, and like the CEO and CTO kind of running everything. So dog walking got crushed over COVID. So people started walking their own dogs, right? They're working from home. So he, in that time period, I think also had a kid or two. And his wife's like, your startup that was going well kind of got crushed. You should go get a job. So he got a job, chief product officer or something at a Series A company. And then it recovered. It really recovered post-COVID. So this whole time he's doing like customer service kind of after hours and like building features after.
Which is brutal. Like, and I would say the volume of customer support is 10 times what we have on any other business. It's constant. And so doing it yourself is just anxiety inducing.
It's a lot. So back to, we're like a month in. So day 32, we made that second offer. 33, we got clarification on the offer. Day 34 asked for how long the offer was good for. And the reason they said this is because they took money from a public company. So a few $100,000, and they wanted to negotiate the debt. So this is an issue when they have to pay some money back that they fundraised. We said day 35, we said we're flexible, no deadline. Day 36, request for arbitrary deadline. We said the end of the month. Day 49, finally got another update, said he's working through the debt situation with his lawyer. Day 54, offer accepted, asked for an LOI. So making progress, almost 2 months in here. Day 55, LOI sent over. We targeted close for the end of July. Just for perspective, we're at the end of October now. So preview for the days ahead. The day 62, lawyer still reviewing, said ready to start DD in a few days. Day 67, they thought that the debt had a right of first refusal. So in theory, the deal was dead.
Yeah. I'm remembering this whole soap opera. Yeah. So the deal, exactly. So there was this other part that I've kind of blocked out of my mind that was like the main thing that was blocking us, because they had this other dependency, right? It wasn't a partner, but it kind of was like a third silent partner that had some implications. So I forget, how was that resolved? Like, it was like they're going to have to deal with it, but it wasn't going to have to be right away. I think that was the conclusion.
So that was day 67. We found out about that. Day 69, they actually read the document and figured out right of first refusal actually doesn't apply here. So
okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's where that ended up. I think the whole thing is like, they took this debt on from this public company, but I don't think the public company had any like rights to information.
Yeah.
So to my knowledge, they wouldn't even know if he sold. Like they would have to kind of pierce the corporate veil or something like that. So I really don't know how it settled, but we also didn't want to know. Is where we ended up. It's not really our problem. Day 74, they said they want the debt situation figured out. So the deal's put on hold indefinitely. Day 84. So we did a pretty good job of like just staying in contact. So we set up another meeting just to update on the product and another potential offer. So day 87, almost 3 months in, we made a third offer with more creative financing to get to a larger amount. I'd say more creative structuring. That one sat out there for a while. Day 103, we got a counter with kind of different payment structure. Day 104 was our fourth offer made. So still in between those two other ones that he kind of set as like boundaries of things he's received in the past. Day 105.
One note on this though, like during this time, it's important, I think, to articulate that our mindset was like that we felt like we had an agreement. And every time he came back with like I want to do this, but I feel like there's a thing. Do you guys have any advice? And like, it was very collaborative. And I think he wanted to talk through with us because we have some literacy around the space. But again, we kept saying like, it's really not our relationship. And we can't really tell you, like, you got to talk to a lawyer. But there was this underlying sense that we had an agreement. Like I think we had enough trust in each other that like, hey, this feels like a good fit. Especially on like the tech and product end, like we had walked through and done diligence on the products, and like I was really excited about doing this. And I think we both were mentally getting to the point where we were planning the future together to an extent of like, but there was still this roadblock. And so I don't want to make it sound like we were desperate for this deal. It felt like we had kind of like already crested the mountain and we were on the way down during this time, because I do feel like we were there, but there were these landmines that were like in front of us, like, okay, well, these things could blow the deal up. And like, I don't think we really got into legal at this point because we still didn't want to incur any real costs. I don't recall.
Yeah, generally, so just a peek on how we operate. I generally create the LOIs myself. So we had lawyers create LOIs in the past, and you replace certain segments. So yeah, no legal was engaged to date at this point. But so this is a question on you. At this point, what was your confidence level that we were going to acquire this company by the end of the year? So we're 3 months in, right?
I was like 65, 70%. I was pretty confident, but shit happens. Like, this is the thing where like an innumerable amount of things can happen to get in the way of this. I knew we were going to get this done at some point. That was kind of my mindset. And that's how I still kind of feel, even though we're done. But like, I knew even with the roadblocks that came up, even if we right at closing time got derailed for whatever reason, like we would come back. I knew that we were kind of like the right fit for this. However, we've had situations which we talked about on the podcast where other people come in with all cash and double our whatever it is. So that does weigh on me. And I think we were coming off the heels of that a little bit. And I think we kept meeting him at the middle. Like, I don't think any other deal we were this bullish on. Like most other deals, I don't think we would keep coming up because the relationship was forming, the perspectives into the code and into the product and into the business were improving every month. Like, things were getting better. So it felt like we were getting a deal each month as MRR was increasing. But yeah, like how about you? Like, where were you at?
I was pretty confident, probably ended up in a similar place to you, around 70% likelihood. I thought we would get it, but like a longer a deal is out there. I mean, there's a wooing phase, so that's fine, right? It's like you're getting comfortable with each other. What I've talked about in the past, it's really hard for a seller to find like, oh yeah, these guys, I trust them. They're going to take care of my baby. That matters a lot. But the longer it's out there, it's like the seller goes on vacation and is walking on the beach and he's like, you know what my goal is? It's like, I'm going to make the best dog walking software ever. So I hate deals that take too long. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's an inverse relationship. The number of the days, the actual closing, like the ability to close it. So I think that's where we kept. So you can keep on with the timeline because it does get much longer.
It does.
We can talk about that because with that is like the main thing that's on our minds is like the longer this is out, the worse chance it's going to get. And then every day that goes by, I'm going from like, hey, we're 90% there. It's every day it's going down 1% or 2%.
Yeah. So we're at day 105. He countered with a larger amount. We said basically meet in the middle, which is not how you're supposed to negotiate. But anyway, it worked here because it was such a real amount. And so we met in the middle, settled on the deal structure, and LOI was sent over. All good to go in theory. And then we got back pretty extreme red lines from their lawyer. So Generally with the LOI, it's like alignment of what we're talking about. So
Yeah.
it's just listing things out. So it's not like we're not negotiating legal words here. Like this is non-binding. If either of us wait 60 days or whatever exclusivity is, it's over. So that was unexpected. They also demanded earnest money, which is not something we entertain, nor anyone else really should for a deal this size. Not common at all. So that was like our first hint that, oh, this is maybe not a great lawyer to be dealing with on their end.
And like one thing to note there is like, it just felt very much like a commercial real estate attorney, somebody who knows corporate law, knows transactions. And we kept saying this to the seller. And I don't think, after a while, we kept saying it was just like pointless to say. We kept saying, hey, this doesn't feel market. The first thing we said once we signed the LOI, though, it's like, hey, here's our philosophy, which if I paraphrase from the email, I wanted to like spend some time to try to educate or even set expectation. Like, here's the process that we typically run. We've done this a couple times. Here's how we like it to go. But like overall, we're trying to be fair. Like both sides, we want to be fair to. Like obviously, we're going to negotiate for ourselves, and you're going to negotiate for yourself. But we want to do what's fair, and we're just shooting for something down the middle. We're not trying to like tweak the terms because the business is in that state. If it was distressed, if it was in a different state, that might be appropriate. But we probably wouldn't come up with that up front, and it wouldn't be a similar type of closing. And I think from the get-go, we immediately kind of put ourselves in like the good cop, bad cop from once the LOI was signed. Once we started dealing with legal stuff, I think it was clear Brent was going to be like the nurturing like time. And by the way, like I felt a lot of empathy for James. I'll just say really briefly, like I sold my first business. It was an agency, sold it to a venture capital group somebody who's done like dozens of deals and like ready to rip through them. I wanted to go slow. My attorney wanted to go slow. And upon retrospect, it was probably misconstrued as like maybe a weird negotiating tactic or being smarter than I actually was, where I was just like, I don't know, I'm just doing what the attorney says. And attorneys' jobs are to bring up every way which you're going to get screwed, which is a precursor to the next, 30, 40 days?
Oh man, no, we have 2 months to go here. Another 60 days we haven't covered yet.
Okay.
But it's worth mentioning like this offer that was in the LOI, and this is how we always operate, is like nothing changed. So like all this APA negotiation, all this like kind of crazy terms that they were trying to insert, like we didn't want to change anything, and nor did they really get anything in that, ended up with them getting more money or different payment structures, anything. Like all that stayed the same. It was more just like the legal battle of a couple thousand words across like 10 pages or whatever that works out to.
Yeah.
So they requested, back to our timeline, they requested that earnest money because they wanted to pay off the loan with it early and like try to negotiate. And we replied the next day, basically saying, no crazy requests. We're not doing any of this stuff. Crazy requests are my word, not like the nice guy Brent words. And then you actually said, not me, to be fair, we're not talking about the loan anymore. We're paying you more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing
like
this.
that was a good distinction. And that was like for us to come up in price. I think this is before the LOI was signed, right? It was like, hey, we're gonna meet you here, but like we never want to hear about the loan again. Like, because it's just not fair to us, right? And seller totally understood that. He was like, yep, got it. I won't mention it. And it came up that one time and then was squashed. It was just like, hey, we're trying to get past that thing. And it had been, now that I'm remembering, it had been months of like this obstacle or landmine in our way, and we cleared it, and then it tried to peek out again, and we just said, hey, come on, we don't want to deal with that. That's your side of the house, your domain. We got nothing to do with it.
So this is great. So that was day 107. We sent that email. Day 107 as well. He's like, okay, gotcha. It makes sense. Day 108, immediate next email, he asked for advice on the loan again. So that was hilarious. And then he also asked for like the crazy red lines to be added back in, even after our phone call. And so what we did, I hopped on with the phone with them again that night to be like, we don't really negotiate LOIs. This is like just alignment of terms. We're not adding an extra page to this 1-page LOI document. Yeah. So eventually we talked him down. That's always the best, to just like get on the phone instead of being combative by text. And so day 109, LOI is signed.
We have, at that point, we've got alignment of terms. We know the purchase price. We know the seller financing amount. We know what we're buying from a high level, like where we're going to do the deal in the US, what states, I think from a high, maybe not even that. No, but like, that's it. Yeah, and that's it. And so then we moved to put in an APA together, which we have one we've used for all the other deals, and use that as a starting point.
Yeah. So diligence starts day 110, start APA draft same day using a previous deal as a base that had the comments from a previous seller as well. So it's like a middle of the park APA draft. So 116, 6 days later, we sent the draft to their attorney, set the closing date for like, I don't know, 15 days from then or something like that. And then about 15 days later, we got very extensive red lines from their lawyer once again with a new collateral pledge that was longer than the original purchase agreement.
Oh, right. Yes. So again, this attorney strikes again with like, and I defended the attorney over and over saying it's just his job. It's just a job. But our attorney was like, this is just over lawyering. Like you're creating longer documents. So everyone's fees go up. So it just didn't feel great. We shared that with the seller and he's like, yeah, not into that either. I feel like we got some alignment with him on this stuff of like, hey, if we can just capture it in a simpler version, like we had a good rapport, I think, in talking about like just simplicity. And that's something as being a developer, I think we both value. It's like, hey, you get way more with 3 lines of code than you will with 15. It's going to be less to debug, less to deal with. And he totally understands that. And that's why I think about legal. It's like, if you can be more impactful with 1 sentence, go with that. That's the succinct is better.
So that was day, where do we go?
So we're in, so I'm remembering this now. We're getting closer so I can actually remember what was going on.
All right, I got it now. So day 139, this is signing day number 1, where we agreed to sign. We sent over whatever red lines they had that we agreed to. And then that like noon, I think James said he was sick and then he was going to Hawaii. He wanted to delay closing for 3 weeks. And we said maybe,
which we knew. Like we knew that he told us way in advance, he's going to Hawaii. He's got this plan for ages. And I was freaking out because I'm like, I really don't want to let this. I think I said these changes are severe. This was like a couple days before that point. It was the beginning of that week. And I think he was leaving on that Thursday. I think we spoke on Monday or Tuesday. And I had said in an email, like, these are severe changes. And he got kind of freaked out by the word severe, but I said, it's severe in the sense that like, we don't want to be bugging you. We don't want this to carry over to your vacation. We want you to be, I had just had this thing in my mind where it's like, this guy has been building this thing for 7 years or so. And like, he's going to go on vacation with his family and he's going to get this big fat wire in his bank account. And it's like, that's the closing experience I wanted him to have. So I got a little carried away with that because I guess it didn't really matter. And he didn't seem to care that much. So, but yeah, we got a little bit jiggity about this thought. You've scared the crap out of me. It's like, he's me walking on the beach and being like, why should I sell to these schmucks? Like, keep this thing for myself. And yeah, like at that point, we had already invested in the legal. We'd already put tons of time into it. It would be the catastrophic if it didn't close. So
backing up a little bit here, like the way I negotiate and the way I think everyone should is like kind of everyone put their cards on the table. Like, what's most important to you? This is what's most important to us. Like, let's find a deal that kind of works for everyone. And so with this final APA, we incorporated all the things that are most important to him. So we gave a significant amount and we got kind of the things we wanted. So at this point, I felt like the negotiation was done. Everyone kind of made their trade. So this is where I sour afterwards with further requests because like this is classic. Actually, I had a negotiation class in business school. And it was negotiating this guy. So this is how it works is like you get the primer, whatever the topic is, and then you go wander around the building and you like find seats and you negotiate against each other and then you come back to class. So like you go sit in chairs, you negotiate, you shake hands, deal's done, then you walk back to class. And this guy, he actually became a venture capitalist. He's a venture capitalist today, but I'll never deal with him again because he pulled this where we like did our negotiation. And then we were walking in the door of the class, which is like the way booth is structured. It's like downstairs. So it's like kind of a far walk back, chit-chatting. And we're like walking the door and he's like, oh, he's switched up the offer on me. He's like, you got to give me like 20% more or I'm not going to sign this. I was like, dude, we already shook hands like 100 paces ago. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
So that is the way I do things. Like it's unacceptable to me to like shake hands and then like, hey, I got to change a bunch of things on you. So I'll always hold it against
this
them.
is where I differ. So the points that came up over the next, 3 weeks? Because so 1 week was shot because we were like, hey, we're not going to bug you. He's like, yeah, I'm going to be in Hawaii the second week. I'll be kind of working. Like we were able to circulate a revised document, but everything that happened, like that document was ready to sign. but the attorney kept bringing up these like gotchas. And over the next 3 weeks, it was him coming up with ways that the attorney coming up with ways that like we were not going to do this or not perform that. And in the end, I don't think anything material got like there was like maybe 6 words that ended up changing over 3 weeks, right? Like there was, am I right on that? Because I think it was all about just one area of like, what happens if we default on the seller side financing? That was like this kind of question of like, okay, well, the seller side financing represents some percentage of the total equity. The original deal contemplates that you'd get that equity back or whatever. Like in our minds, we're like, not pay the seller financing. Like if that happens, like the business is going to be shuttered. Like our careers are over. We're never doing another deal again. And this business for sure is like something happened, which is where my mind goes is the reason we have the seller financing, which is like, okay, you didn't disclose something. It blew up, the servers melted, and we can't get it back up, and all the MRR goes to zero. And even then, like we could probably rebuild, but even still, like something absolutely catastrophic that was withheld from diligence or withheld from us as the buyer. So it's almost like that's where there is some risk in seller financing, but that's also where we're able to achieve a price that he wanted to close at. So there is a little bit of risk. And I think there was just a lot of technicalities around, okay, well, if this doesn't happen, and for us, it's like we just didn't even go there, but again, it's his attorney's responsibility to go through that. But they essentially wanted a form of control to like liquidate the company. And like in the end, I think it was just a matter of getting the seller comfortable with like, what is that scenario? How would that look? And then what ended up getting added, I don't really feel like it was material enough to like, nothing really changed. I feel like it was just kind of walking through and on the closing day or the day before the closing, I remember talking to the seller, like, by the way, I think by this time he started emailing me individually.
Yes. Yeah. All right.
Like,
I'll go through the timeline.
Annoyed with me.
Because it's worth
to talk to you.
Yeah. So we were day 130 something. Day 147, they request some like fairly large APA changes. This is on his vacation. We give in to the reasonable ones and say no on the unreasonable ones. They come back with more changes. So this request for absolute control. And then day 153, we had another call to like try to calm him down. I made it clear that I was tired of the additional demands. I felt like the deal was already done. I didn't appreciate it. And then the next day, it's like, okay, I'm just going to talk with Brent. I'm going forward here. So it's day 154. Yeah. You know, what bothered me so much about it is like, these things are kind of zero sum. And so negotiation was done. And so like continuing to ask for more things kind of had no cost for him. And we gave in to some, and then it was just like, it just kept coming. It was like, there's just more and more requests for changes. And it was a bit of a slippery slope. So I don't know, maybe we were overly nice or like overly open to his changes. But so that's day 154. Seller tries to only talk with Brent. Day 159, we give in once again, set a closing date for the following day. And then signing day number 2, day 160, seller requests more changes in the morning once again. And then day 164, seller signing day number 3. Seller requests fairly large changes to control and our operating agreement, which was quite a shocking request and not something I've ever even heard of happening before. Day 165, we compromise and give in to their unreasonable requests by any real standard. Day 166, they ask for another change and we give in. And day 167, signing date number 4, APA signed, money wired, company transferred. So 167 days later.
Yeah, and I think we would have been a lot further. It's just a matter of attorney choice. That's the number one thing. Like, and going back to these things you're saying we gave in on, I might be recalling it, looking at history with rose-colored lenses, but I don't really like these were all things that were, I don't feel like what actually was reflected felt like anything like a big deal, right? A lot of this was trying to find security around control of the business if we didn't pay the seller note. Like that was the biggest thing. And that's where a lot of the seller had one thing that he wanted. He wanted to maximize his cash up front and then make sure that the cash that he wasn't getting up front was for sure going to be paid. It was really important. And that was like, and everything else I don't feel like he cared about much else other than, hey, I want to make sure I'm going to get the seller financing, which on that, the day before closing or the day of closing, he got on the phone like 4 or 5 times just to kind of, because at that point, the reason I think this was taking so long is it was he and I would have a conversation, come to agreement, and then we go to the attorneys, and then they'd be like, but what if this or what if that? And I was like, what, our attorney did us a favor and just emailed everybody on that last day and was like, hey, we're going around in circles a little bit. Here's what we're proposing. James and Brent talk. And I think at the end, like they agreed to terms that were similar, if not the same as, they weren't too dissimilar from where they started. And it was just coming down to a matter of trust. Like that was the last piece that I think we didn't earn that trust until spending enough time. I mean, my conversations, they were just like open brain line of thought, like, okay, let's walk through together what happens if we don't pay the seller note. What's the situation? How much control will you have on the corporation, on the business? And I think what they were trying to do is start down that path of like, okay, now let's define all those legal terms. And I was just saying, that's a whole other thing that it would take months, and your legal bills are going to be huge. So we just need to kind of come up with high level terms that we can agree on. But the main thing you're going to have to do is like not trust that like, oh, we're going to pay you, but like trust that we're going to work in your best interest. If for some reason, and this is where we went, we're like, if I got hit by a car, I mean, could happen. Colin could die, I could die. These are real kind of situations that can occur that are catastrophic, that would result in him not getting the seller financing or a disruption in that. And it's like, if that happens, here's what you can reasonably expect. And so we just went down that and maybe spent an hour in total in these like 15-minute calls going through that. And I think just exhausting ourselves and being like, okay, well, we just have to leave some up that like, we're going to act in good faith and both sides are going to act in good faith. And like, I think had we gotten to that a little bit sooner, maybe it would have been less, but I really do think this attorney was doing these like throwing grenades at him, but what if this, then you'll have no control. You're not going to get this. Like, it's just a tough thing you're taking risk with a seller note, but you're also getting a higher price. So I think he did a fine job of like articulating that and his discomfort around that. But then it's hard to expect a seller to find a good attorney because they don't really have these people lined up unless they've done it 2 or 3 times already.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this whole thing went wrong. I think it's kind of a paranoid seller is the way of saying it. And then attorney that is definitely inexperienced in this exact type of deal. He's like a larger real estate attorney. So I guess, what do you think we could have done better? Or do you think any of this was preventable?
He asked very early on for deadlines. And I think there is a chance that you blow the deal up because a deadline gets missed. But I think putting it on rails, I noticed FE does this sometimes. They put a nice schedule together of like, here's where we expect to be.
Yeah.
And if we're flagging, like we need to escalate this in a way. And I think we never did a good job. We were always like, hey, you're the seller. Let us know. Like, we can't tell you. I think we didn't ever want to put an ultimatum out there because we really wanted the deal done. And again, we kept seeing the business improve. And so I think that would have been playing a little bit harder ball earlier. I think the other thing that would have been helpful is like, he's in Philly, I'm in Cleveland, you're in Chicago. We should have gotten together.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a way to build some trust. And like, I think it's like, we've never met him and we've never met anyone else that we bought a business from. But I think in some cases like this, when it's the bootstrap founder who's brought this thing where it is, I think meeting people is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably something we should think about doing. My other ideas of what we could have done better. I thought we could have explained recourse if things went poorly a little better. Like, I think we could have more of an educational component to this and just like explaining the basics to folks. I felt like maybe his attorney didn't do that at all. And we kind of missed an opportunity there to kind of take the reins and explain things. Yeah. This is something we've talked about in the past of like, can you just recommend better attorneys to folks? I think, got to send a micro-acquire or something like that. Trusted attorneys. We could have introduced them to like previous sellers that have worked with us in the past, just to be like, hey, we worked with these guys, talk to them about seller financing, talk to them about the whole experience with us and what happened to companies after.
And then we'll podcast about the whole thing after.
Yeah.
Hopefully like this is not received as like us griping about it. I think it's the intention of having this is one, for us to do a postmortem, but two, for the audience at large to like hear what is an actual deal, how does it go? And they're not all perfect. Like, we think we're good at this. Could somebody have come in and closed it hardball closing in 15 days? Like, maybe, but like, keep in mind, like, we're not working with a fat stack of cash. Like, that's where I think we have the desire to have funds at the ready to be able to close things faster. We're still asking for seller side. We're asking for a lot, in all fairness. Like, we're paying a price, but then we're also making this stuff work by rubbing two nickels together, frankly.
So that's standard though. So seller financing is in like 90% of small deals, and there should be some risk on their side. So like making it a situation where the risk is basically zero kind of negates some of the purpose of seller financing.
Yeah.
Of like, we want them to be kind of on the hook. Like if the business crashes and burns, we kind of want them to not be incentivized for that to happen. We want them to help us. So like taking away we gave them some teeth and then we just kept giving them teeth and teeth and teeth to our eventual detriment. Like I don't think there's any real chance that we don't pay the seller financing and it's going to matter. Yeah. But there are costs. There are real downside costs for us of giving. I also like
legal costs.
Yeah. Oh, legal costs as well. I also want to, I don't know how you ever get there. We've talked about in the past of just like, this is the APA contract. We've used this for like the last 10 deals. Your inexperienced lawyer isn't going to dictate the terms. Like, this is set. I want to play harder ball, but it's like, we wanted this company. We kept giving in little things that didn't really matter. I don't know. This is something I could talk about, I feel like, on every podcast. I don't know what the solution is, but it's a real irritant.
Yeah, I think that there's something like MicroAcquire could do that. We talk about this a lot. Is like, and I think they're working on it, is like a transaction pipeline that they could put you on where it's like, it could be escrow, right? Honestly, like, I think that's what I don't really want to do, escrow or in all these deals, and it's a pain. But like, I think there are some things that are, if there's a third party that's trusted, could totally smooth this stuff out. Because it's like, it's not even the legal fees. Like, our attorney wasn't happy doing all this. It was like, she doesn't want to do it. Like, she's like, ugh, this stuff keeps coming up. And that the other attorney, he's trying to do his best to protect his client, but it's just putting it on rails would certainly help. Put it on like a more like, here are the milestones, here are the things that we will cover, here's the point at which we will cover them. But again, every business seems to be a bit of a snowflake.
Yeah, I think you have a very nice interpretation of his attorney. I think he was clearly racking up fees on his end. And I think all attorneys do. Like, if you let them talk, I mean, they're paid by the hour. Like, what do you think the incentives say to do? It's like,
no, I mean, there is no attorney that will disagree with that.
My other thought, and something I want to do better next time, is like, we kept saying, this isn't market. Like, we're not going to entertain this stuff. And you could bring, like, there's stats on what is market, like what percent of deals have working capital adjustments, what percent of deals have seller financing. So just bring in those reports. And even like, I actually posted this question to Twitter of like, how do you help through a bad opposing attorney? And it's, you basically, show them how other deals are done. Yeah. And support that all with facts. So that's something I want to do better next time. Of like, James actually said this, of like, Colin's word saying this isn't market isn't gospel. And our attorney has to look it up every time, which is a bit of a clue that their attorney didn't know what market was. Yeah. He just was like, had to go and figure it out as well.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to be able to look at these and say, hey, here's what typical terms are, even if it's like anecdotal consensus across attorneys, that's valuable. Like, we use that. That's our benchmark. We're not trying to do anything weird. We're just trying to not get kind of played on a deal or get disproportionate terms for something. So yeah, I don't know. The ethos is the same. We're trying to go down the middle and be fair. And it's like, I'm more concerned about like working on the business than working on the APA, but I think that's why we do what we do.
Yeah. So it's all done now. Business is great. Excited it's over. It's just like, figuring out guardrails to make it not as painful in the future. Cool. Anything else you wanted to cover?
No, I got to run. I got to go to my next meeting.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Long one. All right. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening and watching.
Bye. Bye-bye.